Good evening. The Prime Minister has sacked the Defence Secretary Gavin Williamson, accusing him of leaking information from a meeting of the National Security Council last week. Theresa May said in a letter to Mr Williamson that she had compelling evidence that he was responsible for the leak and that she'd lost confidence in his ability to serve. An inquiry into the leak was launched after information was printed in a national newspaper from secret discussions about the Chinese firm Huawei's involvement in the development of the UK's 5G mobile network. Mr Williamson has strenuously denied he leaked the information. He's been replaced by the International Development Secretary, Penny Mordaunt. Our political editor, Laura Kuenssberg, is in Westminster. And Laura, this is a dramatic night at Westminster, even by recent standards.
Fiona, it takes a lot to shock people in Westminster these days, but last week there was genuine surprise and real horror among some in government at the leak of conversations from the National Security Council. Not because leaks never happen, we're plenty used to them, but because of the nature of the conversations that were revealed to a journalist from the Telegraph newspaper. Fingers were quickly in private pointed at Gavin Williamson, but now, only a week or so later, he is out. So a Defence Secretary has lost his job over accusations of leaks of security information in 2019. Our politics truly is stranger than fiction.
It wasn't me, he said.
Absolutely not.
And then again and again, the Defence Secretary adamant he had nothing to do with leaking from a secret government committee.
I never have leaked anything from the National Security Council, nor would I ever leak anything from the National Security Council.
Do you admit that you're one of the people under suspicion?
As I say, never would, never have.
But his boss, the Prime Minister, didn't believe him. Furious at a leak from the National Security Council last week, Theresa May wanted Gavin Williamson out, sacking him in her Commons office this afternoon and writing in a brutal letter tonight, "I put to you the latest information from the investigation which provides compelling evidence suggesting your responsibility. I've concluded that I can no longer have full confidence in you as Secretary of State for Defence and have asked you to leave Her Majesty's government." But Gavin Williamson is sticking to his story, replying, "I strenuously deny that I was in any way involved in this leak. I am confident that a thorough and formal inquiry would have vindicated my position." The now former Defence Secretary was one of several ministers who had doubts about allowing the Chinese firm Huawei to take part in building our 5G network, superfast broadband. When conversations about giving them a chunk of the contract were leaked to a newspaper last week, there was horror among many in government. Privately, many quickly pointed the finger at Mr Williamson.
Do you know any more secrets, Minister? Have you got a clean record?
He'd been promoted very quickly, and surprisingly to some, to Defence Secretary in 2017. Almost immediately ruffling epaulettes at the Ministry of Defence with his occasional and frankly unusual candour.
Russia should go away, it should shut up.
After acting as the keeper of the government's secrets as Chief Whip, crucially brokering the deal with the DUP after the election, trying to keep Theresa May's show on the road after she lost her majority.
Always forget how many of there are you get down here.
As Defence Secretary, he tried to make friends by clashing with the Treasury to bid for more cash for the armed forces. But he too developed a political reputation for dealing and wheeling behind the scenes and having his own, not well hidden, aspirations for the top.
But now that loyal lieutenant is out, no longer trusted, no longer on the inside. And Gavin Williamson's downfall, perhaps his own ambition, his thirst for politics. And the Prime Minister losing yet another member of her top table.
We know that it will be disruptive for them.
Sir Mark Sedwill, the Cabinet Secretary and the National Security Advisor, normally in the shadows, believes the evidence against Mr Williamson is compelling. But friends of the departed minister fear the leak inquiry called by Number 10 was partly an operation to find the evidence after choosing the culprit. There are calls tonight to bring the police in to get to the bottom of exactly what took place.
He denies it, and he deserves to have his voice heard, and the way to do that is in a criminal inquiry, given that it appears that the law has been broken in this case.
Are you happy with the new job?
The political decision is taken though, and that means new faces in higher places. Penny Mordaunt, a member of the Naval Reserves, promoted to become Defence Secretary, the first woman to shake the hands of the top brass as their boss.
Well, the Prime Minister's made her decision. What I'm focused on is getting on with the job.
She was replaced by Rory Stewart, moved up into Cabinet to take charge of aid and development, a duo who both have big ambitions for the future.
I have a lot of confidence in the National Security Advisor. I have a lot of confidence in the process that he will have conducted. And I have a lot of confidence in the Prime Minister, and I'm sure that they made the right decision.
Confidence in anyone and anything in Westminster is limited everywhere. One cabinet career at an end for now. The government shaky at the helm.
So, Laura, decisive action by Theresa May tonight. Do you feel that she's left strengthened or weakened by this?
Well, Fiona, for such a long time, Theresa May's had a profound problem with discipline in Cabinet, and the fact that many of her colleagues, who she gave big jobs to, have not seemed to respect the traditional view that what happens in Cabinet stays in Cabinet. And frankly, a lot of them have delighted in, for all sorts of reasons, spilling the beans on very confidential discussions in government. But whether that puts an end to this kind of chatter and an end to the idea that there's disagreement in government, I think it's too hasty to come to that conclusion, because we know already there are so many splits at the top of the Tory party over the kind of decisions that Theresa May's making, how she's handling Brexit in particular. This does look like decisive action, yes, but is it neat? No, it is rather messy, because Gavin Williamson is still strenuously denying what he is accused of doing here. He accepts, yes, that he had a conversation with the journalist who broke the story, but he and his friends are absolutely insistent that he was not the perpetrator of the misdeed. And it may well be, with calls for a further inquiry, even bringing in the police, that even though Downing Street wants this matter to be closed, this to be about the firm thwack of bringing back cabinet discipline, it may well in the coming days simply not be that straightforward. We shall have to see.
Laura at Westminster, thank you.